That's what makes will, not just wishing, wistful thinking. We have an illustration of blind will also in the establishment of businesses and professions. They do not succeed. Why? Because they didn't get the contact of God first to know how to act. They didn't use their reason. They didn't use wisdom-guided will. They used blind-guided, unguided will. Because they didn't make that contact first. I will reason. And how can you reason truly unless you make the contact with God? I will reason, then I will and act. Help me to do the right thing, O Father. And so blind will is will that is not guided. Not guided. Those who exercise blind will do not make the contact with God and truth to guide their will. Naturally, sometimes it does not succeed, it fails. So then we come to human will. What is ordinary human will? It is will guided by the ego. So human will is the power of the ego. But that's very limited. Very limited. But when that human will, that limited human will is changed to wisdom-guided God's will, then it's divine will. Human will is God's will, there's no question, but it's limited by the ego consciousness. Very limited. But when that human will is changed, that limited human will is changed to the wisdom-guided will of God, it's unlimited. There's no end to the power of God's will. And that power of God's will is right within us. And we will be one with it and can utilize it. We can awaken it when we make God contact. So if you want to change your human will, get God contact. Then your human will becomes all powerful because it is one with God's will. God's will, as I have said, is all powerful. God's will plus mind stuff, atomic energy, has made all things. Imagine. God's will is the sole doer. God's will plus the mind stuff, atomic energy, has made all creation. And when we fission an atom, think of the tremendous power we get. But that's one atom. Imagine the power in the universe. When you take the atoms of the universe, all held together by God's will. So that's why when the saints united their will with God's will, they had tremendous power. But they all said, I do nothing of myself. God is the sole doer. Jesus said that, all the great saints. They tremble before God. But when they unite their will with God, no power on earth can shake them. They stand, as the Master used to say, unshaken through the crash of breaking worlds. That's God's will. That's what we want to awaken within us, His power, His great will. And so, as I have said, the key to the subject this morning of awakening your willpower is to change your limited human will to the wisdom-guided will of God in you. How to do it? By God. When you have that, then there's no limit to the power which God can exercise through you. And you will say, as the great ones say, Father, not my will. My will is nothing, but thy will be done. Change the human will to the wisdom-guided will of God within. And now, just a little bit about metaphysics. Take just a few moments just to divert your attention for a moment. How does this will of God work? Metaphysics of will and science of will. There's a reason. Well, in the cosmic aspect, you have read about Shiva and Devi. That's the soul plus the soul's power. In the universe, it is Purusha and Prakriti, soul or God's presence, and the power of that presence. In us, it's soul and the soul's power. Now, when that great cosmic consciousness of God and its power enters into the lowest vibration of earth, then it rests. It's quiet. But look in the atoms, the earthly atoms. Look at the power that's there. When they split the atom, look at the atomic energy. Now in us, that same power has entered into the earth consciousness in the lower center of the spine, coccygeal center. And there, that power of God, the soul's power, as the Kundalini power rests in a coiled state. Now imagine the power of God is in us, in a quiet state resting at the base of the spine. If somehow we can arouse that, reawaken it, then all the power of the universe is with us. That's what it means in the Bible when it says, as Moses lifted up the serpent in the wilderness. Moses aroused that sleeping power of God within us at the base of the spine. He aroused that Kundalini power. And then that went up Moses' spine and reawakened the centers into his brain, and he united his consciousness with God's consciousness. The delusion left him, and his will became one with God's will. That's what this power is within us, the Kundalini power at the base of the spine. It's God's will in static form. We have to arouse it, wake it up. Then it enlivens us, makes us one with God's great power. So remember, within us is sleeping, that power of God at the base of the spine. If we can somehow arouse that, then our will becomes changed into God's will. Human will is superseded by divine will. Now, how does it work? How does it work? It works through the application of steady will. Steady will is that which we do not have. Steady will means will that does not give up until the desire is fulfilled. And remember, it is a steady will alone that can change the outward flow of the force of creation, which came out of Almighty God. Steady will alone can turn that back, that we return once more to God from whence we have come. Now, how does the steady will work?